Okay. Let's hear from our race winner for the second straight week. Our race winner is Matt Kenseth. He drives the number 20 Home Depot Husky Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's joined by his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, and team president, J.D. Gibbs. A couple things here before we start. It's a career-best 7th win in 2013 for Matt Kenseth, his first win at New Hampshire, and he wins on his 500th career start. I believe the only other driver that's ever done that is a fellow by the name of Richard Petty. He won on his 500th start, too. And then this is also the third time that a driver has won the first 2 races in the chase, and certainly Joe Gibbs Racing won 2 the first 2 weeks. That's never been done in the chase. So, Matt, talk about how you came to a racetrack. Obviously, that when you left Chicago, I'm sure you were just hoping to get through this weekend, and yet here you are in victory lane. How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, you never go to the track and hope to just get through a weekend, but yet certainly if I had to pick all the races, this is probably one that I had probably more anxiety over than most, just because I really feel like I'm the weak link here, and we had a pretty good car in the spring, and I kind of messed it up a little bit, and then I was hoping we'd have a good car today, and I didn't want to hold them back. So I felt a little bit, I was a little bit worried about this weekend more so than some tracks, just because it has been a tough track for me. It's tough to pass. It's easy to get shuffled back on a restart and not get such a good finish. So had a great day on Friday, great day of practice, really fast in race trim. We're off just a little bit qualifying, still qualified well, and then really fast on Saturday in race trim. So I felt really confident with my car today. But to have a fast car and to be able to do all the right things with adjustments and strategy and pit stops and all that stuff and be out front and win is 2 different things. So it's just I'm thankful to be part of this group, and it's just honestly doesn't really seem real that we won yet today.
Also, the 13th win for a Toyota Camry this year in the Sprint Cup Series. That's the most that manufacturer has won in a single season in Sprint Cup. Okay, Jason Ratcliffe, crew chief, just talk about how you got the car better throughout the weekend and how you guys pulled this off today.
Well, this was one of those weekends that felt like we unloaded strong off the truck, and anytime you can do that, typically it's going to be a good weekend for you. We ran pretty good here in the first race a few months ago, and it felt like we came back, we were able to take what we learned there and apply the things that we felt like we could do better. And it proved to be successful this weekend. Obviously, I don't think Matt gives himself enough credit around this place. One thing you have to do really well, I think, to win a race here is you have to be exceptional in restarts, and track position's huge, and especially when you most of the guys are going to have either old left sides or old right side tires, and it makes it difficult to get going. And aero is a big deal as well. His restarts were exceptional today, and I think that's was one of the keys that got us a victory.
Don't take it off.
And J.D., certainly an excellent start for Joe Gibbs Racing. As I mentioned, 1-2, second straight week, and just talk about that, maybe how that's playing out.
Yeah, I think my dad's in the back over there, so you give him a hard time for not being up front. But it's one of those things. It's one of those things that, like, we honestly, if you get the right people in your organization, the rest is easy. And so I'm not allowed to touch any cars, not touching equipment, but we just have a great team. And those guys, Matt and Jason have really gelled well. They've helped Kyle out and Denny. And so it's just been fun to be a part of that whole process.
Very good. We'll take questions now. Let's start in the press box. I think we've got one up there, or maybe 2. Go ahead, press box.
Hello, Lewis Frank up in Speed Week up in the press box. Since J.D. and Matt have been through championships, I'll go give this to Jason. Crew chiefs look at numbers all the time. Now you got the first 2 wins. How do you keep your guys' nose to the grindstone and not get ahead of yourself?
Well, we sat down a couple weeks ago and just kind of had a little, informal meeting, went to lunch. And I think our philosophy or thought process coming in was, let's just continue to do what we've been doing. It's been pretty successful so far this season. So we don't need to do anything different. We don't need to do anything new. And the guys have done a really good job of doing that, of paying attention to details and executing at the shop as well as at the racetrack. And we're just going to continue to do that. Obviously, We haven't done anything different than we've done all season for the last 2 weeks, and it's worked pretty well for us. So we're just going to continue to do that, and I think it'll pan out.
Go ahead again, press box.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Matt, can you talk a little bit about Kyle? You said that, it's tough racing him because, he's just that good. And for JD, the problem that you have having both the top champion contenders under the same roof.
Man, what a terrible problem to have, huh? Racing Kyle is, everybody in the garage knows that there's not a driver more talented than Kyle. So, it's not tough racing him like you don't want to race him. It's tough racing him because you know that you're not going to be allowed many mistakes. And he was, we'd break even a lot when he was behind me, and then, I'd mess up a little bit, and he'd grab 2/10 that one lap. And I think out of that last however many laps we ran, when Jason was giving me lap times, he only had 2 or 3 laps that were way off on time. When he caught some lap cars, so there's just not a lot of room for error. And obviously obviously he's in the same kind of equipment, and he's as good as they get. So just didn't really want him to get any closer. He was gaining there at the end, and I got slowed up a little bit by some lap cars. And this place is really line sensitive, really easy to. At least for me, it is really easy to miss your line and lose 2 or 3 tenths. So just I didn't want to do that and get him any closer.
As far as for me, really the way I look at it, I don't have any problems on that front, just because we have 3 great drivers who communicate well with each other and work well together. So I think, and Matt kind of leads that off. Not that he's old, but he's been around for quite a while. And so he's just a great part of Joe Gibbs Racing.
Let's take one more upstairs, then we'll come down. Go ahead.
For Jason, this is Michael Vega, the Boston Globe. You mentioned, about the 500th win and how meaningful was it for Matt, and how meaningful was it for you as a crew chief to help deliver that to them? And were you aware of his anxiety about getting around this place? You mentioned, I think it was like, a golfer, coming to the tee and striping it down the fairway. And I know that for him, finding the rough here is kind of, easily done. But do you think that this gives him even more confidence going through the chase?
Well, one thing that I know about competitors like Matt is, they're not they're going to work extremely hard in the areas that they have the most anxiety, if that's what you want to call it. But again, I felt like we had a good race here a few months ago, and when we left, we knew what we needed to do to be better. Matt typically tells me the racetracks that he's more fond of, not the ones he's not fond of. But I'm quickly learning which ones he doesn't like so much. But after today, I think this one's definitely not at the bottom of his list, and I think it just proves that with the right group and the right equipment, we have great equipment that all the guys and the men and women back at Hunters will do a great job of preparing race cars for us. And when you have all those parts and pieces, I think anything's possible, obviously.
Mike, you got a follow-up
To get that 500th for him.
about the 500th?
Oh, the
win?
Well, I
500th
mean,
start.
that I just happened to see see it on TV that the King was the only one to do that, and obviously I know that's a big deal for Matt, and it's a big deal for myself and this race team to be a part of that with Matt. You only get that opportunity one time, and to be able to come out and win, especially at your least favorite racetrack, I think that's one that you'll remember forever. And all the wins are great. I think everyone in this sport would say there's no one that's any better than the other, but this is definitely one that'll rank up on top.
Let's come downstairs now. We'll go in the back. Go ahead, Mark, and then to Kenny.
Mark Garrow, PRN. This is for both Jason and Matt. You guys start the chase at Chicagoland talking like the other guys. We're just one of 13 guys that have a chance to win it. Now you've gone 2 for 2. There's a lot of guys in the back of this thing now that are at almost a full race or a full race behind you already. Again, for both of you, are your expectations or have your expectations changed?
You want to go first?
I don't think so. I felt like that once I don't remember where we were, 6th or 7th in points when we came out of Richmond and it all sorted out. But I felt like what we had been able to accomplish this season, that we could be a contender, obviously. And I think, obviously the last couple of weeks we've proven that we can go out and compete and do what it takes to win the championship. A lot of racing left, and I'm still gonna. And I don't know what the points are right now. You mentioned it, but there's a lot of fierce there's a lot of great competitors that can still jump out there on any given week, and any of them can come out and win the next 4, and we know that. So we got to keep bringing, as Matt would say, we got to keep bringing our A game each week. I feel really good about it. I think we're, no different than I thought 2 weeks ago. We're going to be a strong contender when it all shakes out. But we got to keep doing the right things if we're going to get there.
My outlook's really not any different or approach, honestly. I know it's kind of cliche, but I mean, it really is 1 week at a time, especially right now. Now, if you get down toward the end and you're lucky enough to have a lead or something, maybe you start looking at that more, thinking about it more. But man, 2 whole months and 8 weeks of racing is a lot of racing, and in this system, it doesn't, one bad finish and you're behind. So I think that enjoy the heck out of this tonight, and start working and thinking about Dover tomorrow, and figure out how we can go there and perform well, and like I say, just take it 1 week at a time and hope we keep getting the results.
Okay, let's go to Kenny, Bob, and then Nate.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Matt, did you get emotional in Victory Lane? And
Absolutely not.
You're not known, for showing a whole lot of emotion. And if you did, is there a particular reason for that?
I'm just happy. It's just it's honestly just been I've said this over and over, and you guys are probably sick of hearing it, but it's just been an unbelievable year, and just it's just been an amazing blessing to be part of this group, and I'm glad we're having the success we're having. But even without that, honestly, I've just made a lot of friendships. I really I really feel at home there. I just really enjoy being part of it, and when you can have success on top of it, obviously that makes it even more fun.
Did he tear up?
That's what I heard.
It's just because JD was here. Yeah. It's like, oh man, I was hoping it was just Coach.
Bob Pockris, and then Kenny, Bob, Nate, and then we'll go to Destin.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. I mean, do you see this win almost as a bonus, like when you were probably looking at the chase and seeing, where you could get wins and get kind of maximum points?
You talking to me?
Yes.
I don't know about a bonus. It's really hard to win these races, and you need to remember that while you're winning them, because you go through them losing streaks and it's easy to remember them. So I mean, it's so competitive, and there really is such a talented group of drivers and race teams that we're racing against each and every week. That you got to enjoy the wins you get and the good days that you have. If you're going to ask me, do we have a better chance of winning Chicago or New Hampshire? And if you had to rate all 10 races, what I thought our chances were to win, this would be toward the bottom, because I'm not very good here. So I guess if you want to look at it that way, I guess you could say it's a bonus. But man, the way the whole weekend went, and the speed we had, and how the car drove, more confident coming into today's race than I've ever been coming into a New Hampshire race. So I was hoping for big things today.
We'll go Nate, Dustin, this gentleman here, and then we'll go up to the press box again.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Matt, kind of following up on Bob's question, the way this lays out for you now, I mean, you got Dover next week. I know you love running there. Kansas, you won there in April. Charlotte, I know you won there. You like that track. And then Dega, where you won last year. I mean, is the next track where you're going to have that feeling of anxiety, is it not going to be probably until Martinsville? I mean, it lays out pretty well, it seems.
Again, anything can happen anywhere. You can be at your best track and, have whatever happen and get a bad finish. But certainly, I have a lot of confidence in the next 3 tracks coming up for sure. In the past, they've been good tracks for us. I felt like we were real strong at Dover in the spring, and just I know we had a mechanical problem, but I thought we were pretty strong. when we ran there, and certainly Kansas has been good for us. Although we are going there with a different tire, so that might change things up a little bit. And Charlotte, the 600 was good as well. So I'm looking forward to going to all those tracks. There's really not a track I'm not looking forward to going to be honest with you. The next 8 weeks, probably the one if you want to talk about anxiety is probably the Talladega, and I think all the drivers would say that. So I felt really good about the spring Talladega, the spring Daytona, but in July we just didn't have at Daytona we just didn't quite have the speed, and ended up kind of being in the middle and getting caught up in a wreck. So you're never sure what you're going to have there until you get there. You build your best car, and TRD gives you their best engine. You go there and kind of see how you match up. So probably Talladega, because there's a lot of things there that are out of your control. I feel okay about Martinsville. I think Martinsville and Loudon are enough different where I don't know that you use the same setup stuff or stuff like that. But man, Martinsville in the spring was the best run I've ever had there. We didn't get the finish. We didn't finish as high as we ran, but I thought we were the worst we should have finished was 6th or 7th or something like that, which was a good run. Led some laps. We were up front. I think we learned a lot. From that race, I think I can be better when we go back, and I think we learned a lot about what the track will do. So I feel I'm actually pretty confident going to Martinsville. Feel pretty good about it.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Matt, what accomplishment is more meaningful to you at this moment? The 7 wins being a career high in the season, or that 4 of these wins have come at tracks that you had not won a Cup race at before?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Just the wins, the success we've had. Like I said, the relationships that I've been building. Those have been all of the special things about the season, honestly. So it's hard to.
Meaningful performance point of view that you've won so many that you won at places that you haven't.
Well, here's the thing: to be able to contend and to be able to try to race for a championship, you got to be good everywhere. And I know there's 5 mile and a half, so they talk about that. Although, I don't know that Kansas and Texas could be any different. But they talk about that. You have all kinds of different sizes and shapes of racetracks, and when you're racing against that whole group. But you look at what the 48 can do in 18, and you look at all these guys, and they're going to be good everywhere. So you better be good everywhere if you think you're going to be a contender. So I'd say it's probably kind of equal. Chicago, everybody likes to lump the big tracks together, so you want to be strong at those tracks, obviously. And I think this was meaningful because this is somewhat similar to Phoenix and Martinsville.
Let's go to this gentleman right here.
Matt Warnez, WWLB.com. Matt, can you just talk about when the weather kind of changed, it kind of got really cloudy, how did it affect your car? And JD, I mean, Matt came over to your organization this year. Did you ever think mid-September 7 wins?
You go first. You want me to go first?
What was this question? No, honestly, we've known Matt for a long time, but in all reality, we wouldn't have guessed 7 wins. And so it's just, he just has such a good leadership role that Kyle and Denny really pick his brain, listen to him. He just, it's good for our whole organization. And so it's just been really a blessing for Joe Gibbs Racing to have Matt come on board.
I forgot what you asked me.
How did the
track change when it got.
How you have
Well, the biggest thing that changed. Yeah, he's great. He's back there on the phone.
He's just looking him back there. He's just yapping away.
The main thing for me is I couldn't see as good, so I had to open my visor again. But other than that, really just I thought it gained some grip, and it got a little bit tighter, which I guess it typically does as it builds rubber here. So just seemed to gain a little grip. I don't know whether it was really a big advantage to us or if it mattered much or not, but it just seemed like he could get off the corner a little better.
Let's go to the press box for a couple more. Go ahead.
Matt, Michael Vega, Boston Globe. Just wanted to see if I could ask you to kind of reflect on the meaningfulness of 500th, start and winning on that start and joining, Richard Petty, as the only ones who have ever done that, accomplished that feat. And why is it that, this place has been so difficult for people to repeat, in terms of winning a race here? 12 races now. We've had 12 different winners. It seems like when you win a race here, you might have assembled a playbook on it. But what makes it so difficult to win here?
I don't know about the different winners thing. I really don't. I mean, it's a hard track to pass. So there's the advantage of being up front and track position and strategy and all that stuff. You got to do everything right to win. I don't know why some tracks get in that streak where you just have different winners all the time, and I'm glad today they had a different one. The 500 start, I'm glad to get the win. That's what's really meaningful to me. Honestly, starts are kind of like birthdays. When they start getting that high, you'd kind of wish that people weren't counting them anymore. And the car and everything was kind of a surprise to me. I'm not sure whose idea it was or who approved it, which was really nice and really cool. And it was really special for me that at Home Depot and Dollar General and JGR, everybody did that for me with that special paint job. But, I'm hoping to race at JGR for a lot of years, and you guys keep talking about stats and starts and Richard Petty and all this. JD just keeps sitting here. He's like, he's old, man. We're not going to keep him around that long. It's about done. So I guess more than being proud of 500 starts, I'm proud that our performance is this good. After 500 starts, it's it's been the best season of my career by far, and I just hope we can keep that rolling.
Go ahead, press box.
Mike Stridesburg, Victory Lane Radio. This is for Jason and Matt. There was a fair amount of experimentation strategy-wise today about when to pit, 2 tires, 4 tires. Did you guys come into the event with any sort of strategy about what to do in given situations, and how did that change as the race progressed?
This is, track position's key here, and you got to have it, obviously. But even when you get it, it's tough to keep it, and it's because there's no out of bounds. There's nothing that you can't come down pit road and do, whether it's right side's only, left side's only, 4 tires, fuel only, and so you don't know what your competitors are going to do, and that makes it extremely difficult. Sometimes you feel like you run enough laps, you have a decent feel for what your competitors are going to do, and as long as you can not stay on pit road any longer than they do, and then obviously you're going to keep your track position. When not here, guys get extremely creative, and so that's the tough part. There was one time we had 50-something laps on our tires, and I thought, well, everybody's going to take 4. I mean, why wouldn't you? And a lot of them didn't, and performed well with it, which taught us something, and thankfully we had enough laps left in the race to make that back up. So this has always been a difficult racetrack to work out a pit strategy ahead of time. I think you have to wait and see how the cautions fall, and you just have to play it by ear. And thankfully, our strategy worked out for us today.
I believe we're clear now. Nate has a final follow-up.
Because I know you hate getting asked about this, I'm just going to ask it anyway. When you won your title in 2003, you won 1 race. And now this year, you've won 2 more races than you've ever won before. Is there going to be more of an indication for you to win the championship those ways? Is it kind of cool to maybe bookend it that way if you can do it that way?
Man, I don't, I can't think of if you're fortunate enough to win a championship or another championship or whatever, I don't think there's a bad way to win it. I mean, that whole, I know it still gets brought up because last year without the chase, and we won 1 race and did all that stuff. I mean, I was really proud of what we did that year. That was tough to accomplish. We ran well, got good finishes. So every year is different. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 8 weeks? There's a ton of racing to do. Obviously, I feel great about our performance. When we talk about wins and chases and stuff, I think of Tony Stewart. So he won the championship driving a 20 car without a win in the chase, and he won in his own car, winning half the races in the chase. So I don't think there's a magic formula. You just have to have more points than whoever finished second. That's how you win it. But I don't know. I'm not really answering your question, I guess, Nate. But either way would be really, really special. I mean, obviously, your goal every year coming in is to win a championship. So I think if you're fortunate enough to do that, it's going to be, it would be special, beyond words, obviously, I think, for anybody out there that's trying to win it, because they're obviously really hard to win when you have, like, Jimmy and Tony, I think they've hogged 7 of them in the last 9 years or 8 years or something like that. It doesn't leave a lot for anybody else. So, it's hard. So you just work as hard at it as you can and hope it works out in the end. I kind of answered it, right? Sort of? Okay.
Dustin, final question.
Thank you. Matt, when somebody has success, the perception is, especially it'll be for a season like this, that 7 wins, that you're suddenly this great driver. And then, a lot of the drivers will say, hey, we didn't forget how to drive when we weren't winning races. So how does, I know it's a formula, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of this, but how has this team made you a better driver to put you in this position to win at a place you were worried about, at other places you haven't won at? I mean, what have they done to allow you to show your skills at some of these places, or how they helped you improve at some of these places?
Man, that's honestly a tough question to answer. If there was a couple things that were magic, I certainly wouldn't share them in front of the microphone because I don't want to hog them for myself. But it's been a great mix. I think the organization is really strong. Starts at the top, obviously with coach and I guess JD, and goes from there. And
better driver than you were last year. I mean, the stats show that you are, and everybody's going to perceive that you're a better driver this year because of the numbers.
Yeah, I was going to get there eventually. I was just rambling a little bit.
I'm helping you out.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. So in other words, I don't care about that part answer. Give me what I want. And leading the team starts with Jason. And, we've obviously been able to hit it off and understand each other and all that stuff. And having fast race cars, I mean, you can take, the best driver in the garage and put him in a last place car and he's not going to win. So I think a lot of the sport is always about, combinations, when you think of, Jimmy and Chad and Ray Evernham and Jeff Gordon, there wasn't anybody that could beat them. I mean, you look at all these different, combinations and success, that teams have had. I mean, I think that's a lot of it. I mean, it has to start with organization to have the fast cars and have all that stuff, but, you got to have the right group, and I'm really fortunate right now to have the right group. So, no, I don't feel like I'm necessarily a better driver than what it was last year. Certainly things are different. We go about things different, and I think I've learned a lot. I think I've learned a lot this year, and you would think after you've been doing it a while maybe you wouldn't learn anything, but everything was all different, so I did come in with my ears and eyes open, and I try to learn as much as I can, but I don't feel really like behind the wheel I'm really any different.